fake, fake the bankroll, yeah, I got the pay. Running up cake, went to the bank, crib but I keep the blue face. They feelings is written all over their face.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I just wanted to get on here and just update y'all on my life and update y'all on the car specifically. But yeah, y'all can tell by the title, car wouldn't start for a week. And we finally got it back up and running, man. But I'm gonna go into the details of why it wouldn't start. And not gonna lie, by the end of me explaining it, it's probably gonna like piss y'all off. But yeah, let's get right into it. So 2 Saturdays ago, I ended up going to an event, Summer Duck. If you are in the VA area, you know exactly what I'm talking about, or the DMV area. Summer Duck, where we pretty much slide the cars. Yeah, I've seen me slide my car at this place before multiple times. But this time I was just basically chilling, right? I wasn't doing nothing too crazy. Literally just was sitting there chilling for the most part. Couple little revs here and there, nothing too crazy. So I start my car, you know what I'm saying, normally start it, you know what I'm saying. I ended up going home, made it home that night. Nothing was really wrong with the car at all. Next morning, car would not start, trying to figure out the problem. So what I ended up doing was, you know, the car would basically crank. I'll put a video in here. I'll show you exactly what it was doing. So that's what it was doing, right? The car would crank, but it just would not crank over. It would not start properly or start the way it's supposed to. Please excuse me, man. It's hot in this car, but I'm also not trying to drive and talk. I just kind of like want to get on here and just show, like, you know, face some transparency and everything that's just been going on. So the starter's working, obviously. So I'm running E85, so it's just not, you know what I'm saying, cranking over. So in my mind, right, and I realized I was wrong. That's okay though, we all wrong. But in my mind, I'm like, oh, the car's probably not getting enough spark because I need to change my spark plugs. I've been running E85 coming up almost on a year now, and I drive the car every single day. So it's like, maybe in my mind, I was like, okay, maybe my spark plugs need to be changed because E85 is a type of, you know, gas that kind of just, it leaves behind like a lot of moisture and humidity, I guess, in your spark plugs. And basically it was saying like, hey, you need to change these out more often if you're going to use E85. So I buy the spark plugs. I end up changing the spark plugs. The first spark plug I pulled out, I'm not gonna lie, it was nothing really wrong with the spark plug. Obviously over time they're gonna wear down. They're gonna like start having like some, you know, carbon deposits and everything built up on it. But the spark plugs was not bad, you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, you know what I'm saying? But I could be wrong. It could be something wrong with them where I can't actually see it. So I was like, you know what, whatever. I already started changing them. I'm gonna just finish the process. So y'all know on these V8s, specifically the RTs, Hellcats, Scatpacks, we got 16 spark plugs. So I changed them all. I did what I needed to do. I even gapped them just a little bit to see if it was like, maybe I need a bigger spark because of the E85. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I need a little bit more, you know, power to the spark. So I changed up all the spark plugs and I tried to start the car and it wouldn't start. So at this point, I know this is the first step, but at this point I'm already out of options. I'm like, all right, what do I do? So I ended up calling one of the guys who works with the shop in my last video, right? And I let him know, like, hey bro, my car is not starting. I don't know what's going on. I need your help and I need your advice on what it could potentially be. So I sent him the video that I just showed y'all earlier, and pretty much he's like, hey, check the fuses, check this, check that. I'm like, all right, cool, that's fine. You know what I mean? Fuses is like one of the first things you should always check for, because If it's something to do with electrical, chances are you might have blown a fuse, or maybe something just might not be working. So I'm like, all right, cool. I checked the fuses. The fuses seemed fine. I was getting, power and the fuses that needed to get power. And I'm like, okay, cool. It's still not working. So he ends up coming by, diagnosing my car at a fee, right? He charged me $170 to diag my car to see what the actual problem was. We can sit here and play the guessing game all day, but let's just get to the source and see what the problem is. So we ended up putting the car in run mode. For those of y'all that don't know what run mode is, this is run mode. When you just put it in that mode and you pretty much don't put your foot on the brake to start the car, but this is the run mode. For those who don't know. Specifically with these platforms, you're priming the fuel pump. You're basically telling the fuel pump, like, hey, we're about to start, so make sure you get enough fuel to the fuel pump or from the fuel pump, so that way it can cycle back and forth through the engine. It needs to be able to flow through the car, right? I don't know. He said that he couldn't hear it. I could hear the slight little buzzing that it does, the hum that it does when it's priming and when it's engaged. But he said he couldn't hear anything. So we walked all around the car, tried to see what the problem was. We pulled the back seats off. He looked at the fuel pump. He put the multimeter or whatever, something to the fuel pump, and he's like, oh, you're not getting any power to the fuel pump. So I'm like, all right, cool. So naturally, right, he assumed that we needed to get a new fuel pump. We needed to get like a new fuel pump because that one probably went bad. And I'm just like, okay, I got you. It's just weird because the car was working just fine last night, and then now all of a sudden it doesn't want to work. So I'm like, all right, whatever. I didn't question it because at this point I'm just like, yo, like, whatever. I got to get a fuel pump. I got to get to and from. I got to get around, right? So he was like, don't worry, I'm going to find a discounted fuel pump for you. And you know what I'm saying, we'll go from there. Couldn't find a discounted fuel pump. Went the whole day and basically was like, yo, like, he couldn't find one. And I'm like, all right, whatever. So I'm like, yo, what if I just get one from Dodge, right? Get one from the no shit OEM factory fuel pump, you know what I mean? And he's like, yeah, that'll work. I'm like, all right, cool. So I spend $700, $717 to be exact, on a full new fuel pump. And what ends up happening is he picks up the fuel pump. In my mind, I'm thinking he's gonna change it that day, but we decided to roll it over to the next day because it's about to storm at this point, right? I'm like, I don't need people going out and getting electrocuted, getting, shocked because they're working on electrical components in a thunderstorm. Doesn't make sense, right? The next day rolls around. He charges me an extra $330 to basically install the fuel pump. This is where I start getting really, really upset because it's like, in my mind, I thought it was just like, a bro kind of helping me out, right? And I'm not gonna mention his name, right? Because I'm all about confidentiality and I'm all about protecting people's image and everything. But he charged me $330 for the install, right? And I'm not gonna say that I helped him too much, right? Because he did most of the work, but I was out here with him, you know what I'm saying? I was doing whatever it is he needed me to do to basically kind of help, make the process a lot smoother. We changed the fuel pump. Gas spilled everywhere, which I found out later on that because we primed it so much, the fuel spilled out from the bottom of the car, which basically tells us that, and I could be wrong, right? I don't know. I really don't know too much, right? I'm just getting on here, like I said, just being transparent. But what that basically means is that fuel pump, the old one, before we pulled it out, the stock fuel pump, that came with the car was working just fine. Otherwise, it wouldn't have just leaked out all that gas like that. But that's neither here nor there because we're already halfway through the process, right? We spilled all this gas everywhere. And now, you know what I'm saying, we already got the fuel pump, might as well just go ahead and change it. So we changed it. We started getting, you know what I'm saying, like a louder buzzing sound, I guess. Which to me, it kind of basically sounded the same. We tried to start the car and it wouldn't start again. So at this point, it's like, all right, what do I do? The car is no longer cranking anymore. It's to the point where it's just doing that one single click. And then it's, when I turn it off, it's doing that other click. So the car is no longer cranking. So, and this is why I feel so stupid, so dumb. Because he didn't even really diagnose it. He was just confident. He was just like, yo, it's your starter. And because we tried to start it so much, now you burnt it out. And now it won't crank over. And I'm just like, well, it wasn't cranking over regardless. It just won't crank anymore. He was like, yeah, but yeah, it's your starter. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. So again, he's like, yo, I'm gonna try to find one from, you know, this shop, this shop, this shop. I'm like, all right, cool. But he couldn't find one. So the very next day, I hit up my boy Cardo, shout out Cardo, from New York. Hit him up from New York because the area I work in has no service, but I had to step out, get back to work. So I called him real quick and I'm like, yo, bro, can you look at any shops or any stores that might have a starter for my car specifically in the area? He's like, I got you. This man got back to me within, like, I'd say like the hour tops. And he was like, yo, this store has one in stock for you. I'm like, all right, bet. I went to go pick it up. Starter, got it, boom. That same night, I'm desperate, you know what I'm saying? I got to get this car rolling. I ended up grabbing the damn starter. I ended up trying to put it on. I took off the old starter. And that was a pain in the ass. Let me tell you something. Taking the starter off these cars is a pain, especially if you're not trying to move stuff around. If you know, you know. But I was able to get the old starter off. And the new starter was about to go on. But the issue is that the new starter ended up, unfortunately, hitting me in the face. It fell on my face. And it fell on my phone. The phone I'm using right now, my iPhone 17 Pro Max. Fell on my phone, fell on the screen, broke the phone. Phone got extremely hot, phone wouldn't turn on, phone just would not work. So now I'm pissed because it's like, yo, I just broke my $1,700 phone, right? Thank God I had a backup phone, but that's besides the point. I ended up going to the Apple store an hour away. Had to make 3 trips because they ended up fixing it for me, thank God. The 3 trips is beside the point, but they were actually finally able to get the phone fixed. So the phone is basically a brand new phone. It's the same shell, but it's basically a brand new phone. They replaced all the internal components, the screen, back screen, all that. So at this point, I'm excited. I'm like, cool, I got my phone fixed. I'm like, all right, this is what I'm gonna end up doing. I got home that day. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna put this new starter in the car. I'm gonna get this car to start. So end up putting a new starter in the car. Took all that stuff apart, put it in, and then tried to crank the car up. Same thing, would not start. It would not start, y'all. Like, I'm pissed the fuck off at this point because it's like, yo, now that tells me that it was never the starter. Because it's doing the same thing it was doing before I swapped it. So at this point, I'm just like, yo, I'm lost. I don't know what the problem could be. Shout out Jay. He ended up basically messaging me, or not messaging me, but he ended up coming down. He ended up basically saying like, yo, like, what's going on with the car? And I basically told him, I'm like, yo, the car still won't start. I don't know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So he ended up diagnosing my car. I'll probably say within like not even a full 8 hours. This is between 2 days. And I'm gonna get to that point in a second. I called the first dude. I'm like, yo, it's not working. Starter's in there. Everything is just not working, man. It's nothing is working, man. He tells me to check the fuses, swap this fuse, swap that fuse. My apologies, y'all. My phone started getting hot because I was sitting there in the car. But yeah, basically he ends up telling me, yo, swap the fuses, do this, do that. And I'm just like, it's to the point where I'm like, yo, you tell me to swap these fuses one more time, man, I'm gonna get real frustrated and irritated, because it's like, I already checked the fuses. You checked the fuses. I had another guy check the fuses. Like, the fuses are fine. So I'm gonna just wrap this up because I know this video is getting kind of like wordy and it's getting kind of like long or whatever. But to no avail. We ended up basically, my boy Jay pretty much ended up coming down, like I was saying earlier, and it took him not even 6 to maybe like 8 hours to figure out the issue. And he bypassed my starter relay and basically took a jumper cable, hooked it up to the positive thing under the trunk, and we were able to get the car to crank again. I'm like, okay. So to me, I'm like, all right, that means that I installed the starter correctly. It's kind of hard to mess that up because it's literally just 2 little wires that you unplug and plug back on. The hardest part about installing the starter was just getting it in that right position and just kind of maneuvering it to like seat properly next to the transmission. So he ends up like, okay, cool. We end up like, all right, that's a good sign, right? And that means like, you know what I'm saying, the motor didn't lock up, the starter is starting, we got electricity, we just don't have enough. This man went to the trunk and unplugged the booster pump, right? If you noticed in my last video, I talked about the booster pump being installed. He unplugged the ground from the booster pump, unplugged everything that was connected to the booster pump, to include the fuel pump wires that was connected to the booster pump. Tell me why he was like, yo, start the car, try to start the car. Started the car, it fired right up. The car started just fine. Like it was like it hadn't been sitting there for a week. Started right up just like that. And at this point, I'm happy because it's like, yo, my car is working. But at the same time, I could just feel this frustration and this anger flow inside. Like, I'm just like, so you mean to tell me I spent all this money on diag fees and I spent all this money on these new parts for no reason? Now, that's not to say all that to say that I didn't have to replace my fuel pump, didn't have to replace my starter, because eventually it's a car, right? It's hardware, it's machinery. At some point or another, it's going to wear down and you're going to have to replace these parts. But if I didn't really necessarily need to repair it and replace it right then and there because everything was working fine, I would have preferred to keep $2,000 in my pocket. And I'll say more like $1,800 because I spent $200 on my own accord, on my own thought process on the spark plugs. That was the first thing I tried. Didn't work. But $1,800 later on stuff that really necessarily didn't have to be spent, and none of that worked. None of that helped start the car. But all it took was just a kind-hearted friend to come down, just check on me to see what was going on with the car because I couldn't get it to start. He checked on the car for me. He was able to bypass it, and he found an issue, and we started the car just fine. And it's like, the funny thing is that he's a BMW owner. He doesn't really know anything Mopar platform or anything like that. So shout out the BMW community. I'm gonna put y'all on for helping this Mopar owner. And specifically, I want to thank him for, give him his flowers for taking the time to come and check on me. I don't know what I would have done without him, to be honest with you. And you guys are probably thinking, oh, well, why didn't you check it? It's like, because I was paying money diagnostic fees to someone who's particularly savvy and specializes in Mopar platforms. I'm gonna take his word for it, and if I'm also taking your word for it and I'm paying you, I'm a, you know what I'm saying, I'm a definitely, you know, I'm gonna trust you, right? I'm trusting you with my money. I'm trusting you with my car right now. You know what I mean? But clearly that was a big fucking mistake. Excuse my language, YouTube. I'm sorry, but it's just like, that is super frustrating. You spent all this money and put it into something, and it would have been a lot more money if I had made a shop do it versus my own hand. So all of this was coming from just buying parts and stupid diag fees. So the car is working. We unplugged that booster pump and the car is working just fine. Now it's a temporary fix because obviously with the E85, my car is going to need it eventually, but I came on here to pretty much say that I don't know what to do. Like, morally and ethically, I'm having a dilemma with myself. Morally, like, I don't want to do business with the shop no more because I spent $3,200 with the injector install, the booster pump, the tuning, all that good stuff. And when I'm paying you, that's me paying you for confirmation that the work was done correctly. And it might have been done correctly, right? I don't know. But it's like, the car was starting just fine, and then it lasted a month, and then it just would not start. Maybe the booster pump was drawing too much power constantly instead of drawing power when it needed to tell the fuel pump to work harder. You know what I mean? Whenever it needed to. But I have not been beating on my car since I got it because, as you all know, I need a new torque converter. I can't be out here being crazy and reckless when I need components and supporting modifications to put the power down. But that's my battle I'm having with myself morally. I don't want to do business with them, but ethically, I probably should let them know, like, hey, you know what I'm saying? I let the guy know. I let the guy that worked on the car previously know. I let him know, like, hey, like, this was the problem. I found out the issue. But it's like, we tried everything. I tried unplugging everything else and it wouldn't start. But that booster pump was really the main culprit. It was drawing too much power. So I really want to take it back to them and be like, yo, fix this. This is not my fault. You know what I mean? This is not something that I could have even, you know what I mean, guessed. And I shouldn't really have to look. Yes, it's my car, but I shouldn't have to look over a shop's dirty work if I paid you for the service. And by the time you called me and you handed me my keys, that's you saying, hey, your car is good. You're good to go. But clearly it wasn't. The car lasted as long as it could before it just wouldn't start no more. So, but I started getting those weird signs where, like, the car was cranking up slowly. You probably seen it in a few of my videos where it would just struggle to start up, which is why I thought it was the spark plugs initially. Your car struggles to start up commonly if you need to replace your spark plugs. But yeah, that's pretty much why I wanted to get on here. I wanted to explain, keep y'all updated. Zeus is healthy. Zeus is doing good. But I got other plans now. The torque converter is going to have to wait because now I need to, you know, look at other things that will prevent this from happening again. So yeah, stay tuned for the next video. I don't know when that's going to be, but I looked at my old video. I saw that it's been a month since I last posted. And then obviously the past week and a half, I've been dealing with this issue. So I kind of wanted to get on here and just give y'all something and just, like, you know what I'm saying, keep y'all updated with everything that's going on. But yeah, as y'all can see, Zeus is good. We're back up and running for now. still on E85, but now it's to the point where now I want to be able to switch back and forth between 93 and E85 and just have two different tunes for different reasons. But yeah, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for watching. I'm sorry. I know this wasn't like a typical, cut up video, POV drive, or, me sliding the car or anything like that. But for all my new subscribers, I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. If y'all watch this video, yeah, I just wanted to give y'all, like I said, I've been saying it multiple times already. It's just, I wanted to give y'all the guy behind the car, the transparency. I wanted to give y'all like an update video on everything that's been going on with Zeus. And with this more recent problem, I got some things to reconsider, and I got some things to kind of just think about moving forward. But don't worry, we will have more videos coming soon. Just give me some time. It might not even be for the rest of the summer. Might have some small little videos here and there, but just keep rocking with me. But I'm gonna end this on a positive note. Shout out my subscribers, man. Yo, we are at 1K now, man. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all, man. That's a huge milestone. Took a little bit to get there, but we at 1K now, and I appreciate y'all. This is a great, standing point right now. That now makes me somewhat eligible to be monetized through YouTube. And obviously I still got to meet like my little daily, requirements and my challenges and everything. But, hey man, we one step closer. We are one step closer. So I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for rocking with me. I've been talking for a while, so I'm done. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. It's King Zeus. I'm signing out. I love y'all, man. Peace.